This is TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and I want to let you know that the State of the Saints podcast is brought to you by Manscaped. Over 2 million men worldwide have joined the movement for all their below-the-waist needs. Engineers for the last 18 months have perfected the greatest hair trimmer ever created, the Lawnmower 3.0. The third-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology pioneered by Manscaped. You can choose the Lawnmower 3.0 as well as other items by going to manscaped.com, and you can also save 20% by using the promo code STATEOFSAINTS. That's manscaped.com. Use the promo code STATEOFSAINTS and save 20% on the Lawnmower 3.0 as well as other Manscaped items. That's manscaped.com. Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. And on this edition, we're going to be talking about quarterback Jameis Winston and answering the question, can Jameis Winston become the game manager? Okay, that's coming from an interview that was conducted by the Huddle and Flow podcast with Steve Weiss and Jim Trotter. They had Jameis Winston as a guest on the Huddle and Flow podcast. And, you know, Jameis Winston, he talked about changing the way that he sees the field. You know, he talked about the term game manager. And, you know, when we hear the word game manager, it has become such a derogatory word. You know, it becomes such a, you know, I guess like such a slap in the face to, you know, quarterbacks, because, you know, we look at game managers as guys who basically, you know, can't win games for teams, right? They just go out there and they do just enough to not allow the team to lose, but won't do enough to allow the team to win. But I beg to differ. I believe that game manager is not a derogatory word. You know, I just think that we have come accustomed to what has been shown to us by mainstream media. They show us that the guys with the most powerful arm and the guys with the most elite arm talent are the guys that we need to pay attention to. And anybody that does not possess that type of arm strength, then they're at the bottom of the barrel. If they can't go out there and wing it and throw it 60 yards down the field, then that means that they're not a quality quarterback. But Jameis Winston, he talked about, you know, that being in the back of his mind, that being in his subconscious. And it also allowed him to make some of the decisions that he made. But he said if being a game manager would cause for him to, you know, not, you know, cause the team to lose the game, then he's willing to do so. And, you know, I don't feel like there's nothing wrong with being a game manager. I really don't. I really don't feel like there's nothing wrong with being a game manager. You had some guys that was some really good game managers, but here's the thing about it. We don't really look at those guys as game managers because, you know, they were so successful throughout their career. Like, for example, I can think of a quarterback right off the top of my head. I can think about Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman was a game manager. You know, we don't consider Troy Aikman being a game manager because, you know, of the simple fact of him winning 3 Super Bowls. But when you look at the Dallas Cowboys back in the day, they had the Great Wall of Dallas, led by Larry Allen and crew. That was their offensive line. And of course, you had Emmitt Smith, who is the NFL's all-time leading rusher. He was the guy that was leading the team. And then you had like Troy Aikman. If you look at Troy Aikman's stats, Troy Aikman wasn't throwing for 300-400 yards a game. Troy Aikman was probably throwing for like 150, maybe 200 yards. I mean, when they needed a first down, they'll put the ball in the air. But for the most part, they were running the football. You look at some of these other guys, around the National Football League. For a short period of time, I mean, Joe Montana was considered a game manager, right? You know what I'm saying? You had Roger Craig and, him catching the ball out the backfield and running between the tackles. So I think over the course of time, passing the ball has become so sexy to a lot of people. It's the thing that put behinds in seats. It's the thing that makes us all excited. It's the thing that makes us just be in shock and in awe and marvel at the greatness of those particular quarterbacks. But I don't feel like there's nothing wrong. I would take a quarterback that gets the ball where it needs to be and make the right decisions over a quarterback with elite arm talent. And, that's something that bothers me, Who Dat Nation. It has been bothering me for quite some time. We look at these guys' pro days, these college athletes that are transitioning to the pros, and we see on social media, we'll watch Justin Field, roll to the left and throw the ball about 60 yards down the field. And, everybody got the big eye emoji going on. And then you'll see a guy like Patrick Mahomes do a no-look pass, to his tight end, Travis Kelce. And we have just become accustomed to that's what we feel like good quarterback play is all about. But give me a guy that can make the right decisions. Give me a guy that can do all the right things to put the team in positions to succeed. And if Jameis Winston can do those things, if Jameis Winston can make the right decisions, then I think we have something special here. And looking at that interview and listening to that interview, I can really truly say that I feel like Jameis Winston has turned the corner. Some people, they have this gift of gab, right? I like to consider myself being one of those people. One of those people that are good at talking and communicating and getting their word across. I also feel like Jameis Winston is one of those individuals. And sometimes those individuals know exactly what to say when they need to say it, and it's nothing but lip service. But I really believe that Jameis Winston really wants to change. I really feel like Jameis Winston has really grown up. I feel like Jameis Winston is looking at things completely different. And we had John DeShays on the show on yesterday, and he talked about it. He talked about like when he was young. I talked about when I was young, we did silly things. And if they had social media at the time, or if social media was at its apex like it is right now, we'd probably be singing a different tune. And we know, what social media can do to some people. But, I just think that Jameis Winston has changed. I think that Jameis Winston wants to be great. I think that he put the work in to try to make that extra step. And, I keep lobbying here on the show that we as Saints fans need to give this guy an opportunity, because it'll be sad for us to just jump to conclusions, just based on what we actually seen from one particular start, like one year starting. Because Jameis Winston, for the most part, I mean, he had his interception to touchdown ratio wasn't that bad. He just had like 1 year where it was just eye-popping. And I think a lot of that has something to do, look, I have to say it. I think it has something to do with the fact of the color of his skin. And we know that black quarterbacks don't really get the benefit of the doubt. They don't get the opportunity to change. They don't get the opportunity to actually resurrect their career. They already got that stigma, about them. They got this stigma about them being a quarterback and being in a thinking position. And some people might roll their eyes when they say this, and you probably don't fall into that number. So we feel like just because I don't fall into that number, that just means that everybody don't think like this. But it's just actual fact, man. You still got people out here that still think that a quarterback that's just so happened to be a man of color is not, smart. They can't make the right decisions. They can't think. And I just think that when those guys have bad years, when they have down years, I mean, it just get amplified, And I don't want to take away anything from the podcast. I encourage everybody to check it out. I don't want to just say everything that happened on the podcast that was very intriguing to me. But I really feel like black quarterbacks get the short end of the stick. And I feel like they don't get the opportunities that some of these other quarterbacks get. Like you look at some of these quarterbacks like Mitchell Trubisky, right? Ain't nobody just talking about how Mitchell Trubisky is just god awful, right? You talk about this guys like Sam Darnold. Like everybody talk about, you ain't have the right coach. You need to put a team around him. But what about Jameis Winston? I mean, he was the first pick overall back in 2015, right? You know what I'm saying? He went to a terrible Tampa Bay team that didn't really put anything around him. But like I said, I feel like black quarterbacks don't get that opportunity to make a change. They don't get the benefit of the doubt. If they have a bad season, they're terrible, right? They're forever going to be terrible. They're forever not going to be a starter. This, that, and the third. It's even with Teddy Bridgewater. Like Teddy Bridgewater goes to Carolina, and they're saying, "Oh, Teddy Bridgewater ain't it." Well, just 1 year in a new system, new quarterback. I mean, new coach, new front office. I mean, you do the math. I mean, I've seen Sam Darnold play. I mean, he ain't setting the world on fire, but yet they're talking about they need to build a team around Mitchell Trubisky, not setting the world on fire, but yet nobody's really saying don't give this guy an opportunity. So it is what it is, man. So that's all I got to say about that. But I'll go ahead and see what you all have to say. That's my opening statement. Thank you all for being a part of the State of the Saints podcast. And speak of somebody, man, I promise you, this is no lie. I was looking for this person. I was like, man, I ain't heard from this person in a long time. And sure enough, he shows up. Keen Arthur, man, what's going on? TJ, though he turned the ball over a lot, there are things that we ignore in regards to that, like the rotating door of offensive coordinators, bad O-line, and having to play from behind constantly. Yeah, I mean, that's something that you have to put, into consideration. Take into consideration, That's something that you have to take into consideration, that Jameis Winston went to a bad football team. A team is a first pick overall for a reason. You don't get a first pick overall because you're a good football team unless you move in heaven and earth to try to get to the front of the line after you won a Super Bowl. And I don't see teams doing that, right? You're the first pick overall because you stink. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at that time, they stunk. So, I mean, the fact that you're the first pick overall, you got the hopes and the dreams of the fan base and the organization on your back. And sometimes that pressure, it can be heavy. And if you don't go out there and perform, people are going to turn on you. And, if you might make bad decisions because that type of pressure is on you. Jerry says, look like it's official. We got a 17-game schedule this year. We might as well deal with it. Jerry, it was going to happen anyway. I don't understand why people are shocked about this. I really don't. The collective bargaining agreement, I think that may have taken place right before the 2020 season, if I'm not mistaken, or 2019 season, if I'm not mistaken. So we all knew that this was coming. Like, we knew that they were going to add another game. It was just a matter of when. And now these players, they're acting as if they're upset. But I stand by my last statement on the last State of the Saints podcast, that as long as you guys continue to just allow these owners to dangle the carrot of prosperity in your face, and you're not willing to make sacrifices in order to create change throughout the National Football League, then you're going to continue to get the short end of the stick. And it's pointless for you to cry about it, whine and boo-hoo about it, if you're not going to do anything about it. And, I don't know if, Cam Jordan watches this show or not, but I find it, funny that, I made that statement, and I see, on his Twitter timeline, he said a verse from a famous song by J. Cole, the rapper J. Cole. He says, "What's good at first class is my partners can't fit." You know what I'm saying? If they can't sit there, excuse me, what good at first class is my partners can't sit, right? You know what I mean? So if you're out here getting everything that you possibly can get, but yet the guy next to you, he isn't receiving anything, I mean, what is the benefit? You know, it's about helping and elevating one another. So you might be super rich. You might be rich beyond your wildest dreams. You need to use that platform that you built in order for you to create that change. You need to use your star power in order to say, we're not going to take it. Okay, you can do this if you want to, but guess what? I'm not going to deal with it. And if you start getting guys like Patrick Mahomes, you start getting guys like Cam Jordan and Alvin Kamara and Tom Brady. If you get these guys to sit at home, trust and believe the NFL is going to do something about it, because they got that saying, nobody's bigger than a shield, but I beg to differ. You know, there's a reason why, you know, they put, you know, certain players on national TV constantly, because they realize the star power that person may possess. So if you want to create change, the same energy that they take to put you on television to elevate their brand, you need to use that same energy to try to create change in your own community, in your own organization, you know, and let them know that you're serious about creating this type of change. Mario says, I'm very excited. Yeah, it's, you know, change is on the horizon for the New Orleans Saints. So it's always exciting. You know, change is always, you know, exciting in some ways. You know, like sometimes change can be nerve-wracking, but in some cases, change can be exciting. Like I'm looking forward to, you know, turning a page and being able to create new content, talking about new players, because this is, you know, this is a turning of a page. You got new leadership. You're gonna have a new quarterback, and you're gonna have a new team for the most part. So I'm excited to talk about it. Win, lose, or draw. King Aladdin says, JK, I know. JK says, we've been spoiled with Breeze. It's time to see things differently. Yeah, I mean, it's the truth. You know, we have been spoiled by Drew Brees. Drew Brees has been one of the, you know, the one constant inside of the Saints organization. I mean, we've had conversations throughout the years about defensive end, running back, cornerback, wide receiver, linebacker. But there's one thing that always remained true, that we knew that we can count on number 9 to be where he needs to be, do what he needs to do. We always had that, right? But now you don't have that. So it should be interesting, man. And he has spoiled us. But, I mean, look, time brings on a change. So it's time for us to embrace that change. Latasha says, well, actually, that's not true. He had 12 fumbles in 2019. If we're talking about Jameis Winston, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're talking about Jameis Winston or not, Latasha. I'm sorry, I didn't read your whole comment. I don't know. So that's I don't know if that's Jameis or you're talking about somebody else. That no look pass. Thank you very much for the $2. Says Mahomes be abusing me. Well, I don't know, man. I think he may have done it maybe twice, you know. But I mean, when you do something like that, you know, all of a sudden, you know, it's going to constantly be played, you know, over and over again. Carlene says, yes, I think so too. We're going to be surprised in a good way this year. I feel it. Well, I think we're all hoping for the best. You know, I hope that we are surprised. Well, I don't even want to say I'm surprised, because this is a good football team. You know, I think people just think that this team is just going to be god awful because they don't have Drew Brees. But I just don't understand. Where have you been watching? Like, Drew Brees has missed 9 games in the last 2 years, and the Saints went 8-1. So this is a good football team outside of Drew Brees. So you should automatically just be excited about, you know, the team as a whole, you know, just because of what you've seen. You know, I just don't get why, you know, I just don't get why people are just so afraid. Like, this team, like, you know, just lost, like, you know, just everybody. I mean, they still got their core players. They still got the guys that were playing at a high level when Drew Brees was out. So I don't understand. People act like this team about to, be picking first pick overall. I would go on record and say this. It would have to take something catastrophic in order for this team to be picking first overall in 2022. Like it would have to take something catastrophic. It would have to take like Eric, the majority of people being out for the year. Alvin Kamara knocking on wood, Michael Thomas knocking on wood. It would have to take like people like that in order for this team to just, fall off the face of the earth. Like this is a good, well-structured team. And I think that we need to appreciate the coaching staff, the front office, because they do a good job. They do a good job. And I understand people's skepticism about Jameis because, last time we seen him as a starter, it wasn't looking too good. But this is a good football team, man. And we have to count on these guys to put the Saints in the best position to succeed. And I trust Sean Payton. Ken Lashley, Latasha Newman is true to me. Zane says he got a lot to prove to me and everyone else. Well, look, everybody, likes to, look at Drew Brees as being an all-time great now, but Drew Brees wasn't what we know him as when he first got here. He had to prove it to us too. We had to prove it to us. And I just think that the worst thing a person can do is just automatically just write a book about somebody based on the introduction. Like this guy is young, you know what I'm saying? We like 26, 27 years old. And, like I said, he played on a bad football team. And, give this guy an opportunity to resurrect his career. And I just think I want people to like not just sit here and just be like, well, we're going to be awful because of him. Like, you don't know what this guy can do. You don't know how this guy can change. You don't know what this guy can bring to the table. So let's just reserve our judgment to, we actually see him in a Saints uniform and see him under center. Guy says, I'm becoming a big fan of the State of the Saints podcast. I discovered it about 6 months ago. Now it's a heavy part of my rotation. Much respect, TJ. Guy, I appreciate that. Anytime, we get new subscribers, new viewers of the podcast is always extremely humbling for me. And it's always a testament to just what we have grown here as a podcast. We're a very interactive podcast for those that are brand new to the show. Kind of laid back today, because we're just having a conversation. But, this is a fun podcast to do. I love doing it. We have great guests on the show. Happy to announce Monday, we're going to have the Cajun Candy Bobby Hebert on the show, former New Orleans Saints quarterback. He'll be on the show. He'll be calling in. And excited about it, man. Confirmed that on yesterday, man. So, I want to say thank you to the Cajun Cannon for, accepting the invitation to the State of the Saints podcast. And I know a lot of people in the Who Dat Nation been Saints fans for a long time. Looking forward to hearing from the Cajun Cannon. So, yeah, like I said, man, we have some great guests here came on the show. John DeShazer was here on yesterday. Nick Underhill, Saints reporter. Man, we had Brian McFadden a couple of days ago. We have some very great guests here on this show, man. So very fortunate, just wonderful that those individuals are nice enough to give us a little bit of their time. And the best is on the way, man. So, keep it locked here on the State of the Saints podcast, man. We're pretty fast growing podcast here, man. We're 3 years strong, going into year number 4. Keen Arthur, thank you very much for the $10. Says, TJ, do you expect to see more passes downfield? And how do you feel about losing Emmanuel Sanders and us drafting that cornerback out of Northwestern, Greg Newsome? Has ball skills like Lattimore and runs a 4.38. Keen Arthur, thank you so much for the $10, brother, and welcome back, man. Like I said, I was looking for you, man. I tell you no lies. I was listening to the State of the Saints podcast, the interview I did with John DeShazer last night, and I was like, man, person I ain't hear from or seen in a long time, like come across the line. Keen Arthur, I wonder where you at, man. I was like looking for your Facebook page. I was trying to check on you, man. I'm glad to know you're okay, though, man. When I, don't see certain people, I'm wondering where they at. You know what I'm saying? Like when I don't see people like Jerry or, Chosen or Chemo or, Leah, Leanne, you know what I'm saying? Like individuals, and so many others, I'll be wondering where they at. So good to see Keen Arthur back in here, man. And, speaking of somebody, one of my buddies, Josh here, says Jameis will always have his interception. He's this generation Brett Favre, but as long as we can keep him between 15 to 20 interceptions a year, his talents will make up for it. Yeah, but let's just hope, Josh. Like unlike what I would say, yeah, let's just hope, that Jameis Winston is not like Brad Favre when it comes to throwing late game interceptions to break the hearts of the Saints fan base. I don't think I can stand that. Brad Favre has that drove a stake into the hearts of a lot of Packer faithful out there, in big games. So Brandon says, hopefully for Jameis' sake, he goes out there and he plays lights out. Well, I don't even think he have to play lights out. I just think that he just has to cut down on the interceptions. If he cut them in half, that'll be fine. The truth hurts. Carolina ain't that bad. Yeah, Carolina not bad. They're a good feisty team. They're young and they have a young coach. They have young coordinators. They have young players. They got to learn how to win and lose together. And I think eventually you might have a recipe for success because you rebuilding that team and you got a lot of rookie deals. So when you have a lot of rookie deals, that means you can bring in a lot of other players in free agency, and you can have a lot of wiggle room when it comes to the cap. So they might be a dangerous football team going into 2021. Winston for MVP. That's right. I said it. Mario, that's huge praise right there. It remains to be seen, but look, I believe in James. I like Jameis a lot. Like, I like him a lot, man. Like Jameis, to me, he reminds me a lot of myself. Like not so much about the football playing and the skills, but just his personality. Like I really feel like, there's not many football players I see. I'll be like, man, I think I can be real cool with that guy. Like I feel like Jameis Winston, like, is a guy that I hang out with. Like he seems like he got that type of personality. And, like some of the things and trials and tribulations that he's been through, I can see me, I've done some of the same things, not so much, but I ain't never stole no crab legs and rolled about the store with it. But just, stuff that just didn't make much sense, just to try to stand out, just not making the right decisions. I've done those type of things. And, a lot of the things in life, like marriage and children, it kind of changed me too. So I think he's a very smart guy. I think he's a good person. I think sometimes, like when you grow up and some of y'all can probably attest to this. Sometimes when you grow up in a church environment, going to church every Sunday, your family like deeply involved in the church, and everybody in the community knows that your people are involved in church, and you have that old speech, oh, don't embarrass the family. And then when you get out here on your own, nobody knows you, you're away from home. Sometimes you can have a little bit of identity crisis. It happens. Like growing up in church, man, my grandfather is a minister. I mean, we had to go to church every Sunday, and my mom, used to tell us all the time, when we go out here, you represent, the Jones family. Your grandfather, a pastor, you don't want to embarrass him. You don't want to end up in jail. You know what I'm saying? You won't end up, being in a situation. And it was a lot of pressure, for a preacher's kid, a preacher's grandkid. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about here. So when he went off to Florida State, away from home, away from Alabama, nobody really know you. Nobody, really talking about, oh, you the grandson of a preacher, your family in church. All of a sudden, like you go through a little bit of an identity crisis. And I feel like that's what he went through. And, you're in college. You're the most popular guy on campus, and you're winning national championships. You're winning Heisman. Women probably throwing themselves at you. You know what I'm saying? Like you're extremely popular. Like it can be hard for a guy. It can be hard. It can be hard for a guy to, keep a cool head in those type of situations. There's a lot of things. Like I know that, we look at some of these players, but I'm pretty sure some of these colleges keep some of these things under wrap for these players. I mean, that got to be pretty tough. I apologize to some of you. I'm gonna go ahead and stroll down a tad bit because I know a lot was said. So if you don't see your comment being read, you can always just feel free to repost it again. I'm gonna start right here with. Let me see. Trying to keep it on topic here. Let's go with Spec. Says Jameis will do well. He just needs to play within himself and not try to do too much. He has a good defense, and he will play in the dome half of the year. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you get what? You might, let me see, who else you playing this year? Who are the Saints? I mean, who are the Saints playing? They're playing the teams in the AFC East, right? And I think they're playing the AFC South. So I don't know. Are they playing the AFC South? Or are they playing the NFC East? I can't remember. So they're playing, I know they might be playing East teams. All right. So looking at the East, everybody plays outside. You got one, you know what I'm saying? So you basically got 9 games if you count if you go into Atlanta. So you got 9 dome games, right? And I'm not sure. I got to look at the same schedule. I got to look at who they playing. But you might even have 10 dome games. So that's pretty, you know what I'm saying? That's pretty cool when you think about it. You know what I'm saying? Like you got at least 9 games with control elements, you know, like so. I mean, you can go nuts in places like that. Brandon says, hopefully for Jameis' sake, he goes out there and he plays lights out. I think I already read that. Oh yeah, I already read some of these. Let me scroll down some more. Let's go with Steve. Dr. Det Steve Williams says he will be just fine. He can do things Drew cannot do, run and throw the ball past 20 yards. Well, look, I don't want people to think that Jameis Winston is Michael Vick. Jameis Winston, to me, reminds me a lot of Byron Leftwich. You know, Byron Leftwich was a guy that had a decent arm, you know what I'm saying? But he wasn't like mobile or anything like that. Like Jameis Winston is, you know, is a pocket passer. Like I said, I mean, but he can, like, you know, get out the pocket. Like if he's, you know, like if he's in trouble or under duress or something like that, yeah, he can, like, you know, get out the pocket and slide for, you know, a few yards, but he ain't looking to run like a Lamar Jackson or maybe a Kyler Murray or something like that. Like he's more of a pocket passer. Brian says, I just told myself that too. I was about to write him back, but then I said, you know what? You got it. Sanchez, that's fine. The truth is hard to accept. I watched a lot of Bucs games because my wife is a huge fan. Man, I don't know exactly what Sanchez said. Sanchez says, Brian, after reading y'all back and forth, I was done. I don't know exactly what said. I guess I must have passed that conversation up. They calling Mac Jones Drew 0.0. Well, yeah, I think I heard that he had a bad pro day. It wasn't, wasn't nothing knocking your socks off. So, I mean, he might be there, you know, for a while. But I think he might still be a first round pick. Who he goes to, I don't know. I'm guessing maybe somebody like New England, maybe. But you know, I heard that he didn't have a good showing at his pro day. And we know the last person that, you know, a lot of people were talking about who was supposed to go pretty high in the draft and had a bad pro day, and he fell in the draft all the way to number 32 back in the day, and that was Teddy Bridgewater, right? So Keith Mason says, I'm eager to see Taysom and Jameis compete for quarterback number 1, and we can end all the back and forth division in the Who Dat Nation. Well, look, Jameis Winston going to beat out Taysom Hill. I'm sorry to tell you, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Unless Taysom Hill like goes to this, you know, exclusive mountain and in the clouds, and he talks to this great sorcerer, and the sorcerer tells him to drink this tea that's going to give him the skills, the arm strength of a Patrick Mahomes, the vision, you know, of a Tom Brady, the accuracy of a Drew Brees, and he drinks that tea and he comes back down that mountain. I can't see Taysom Hill being the starting quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. Okay, you know, he would have to, you know what I'm saying, he would have to basically do a complete 360, full circle in order for him to do that. Now, Don't get me wrong. If Jameis was to get hurt and Taysom is the starting quarterback, he can win you some games. But game in, game out, week in, week out, can he win you the game every single week to have you in double-digit wins? All I got to say about that is
hell no, to the no, 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 hell to the no.
It ain't happening. It ain't happening. The most successful Saints season under Peyton all have something in common. Fewer passing attempts lead to less interceptions. More sustained drives. 10-plus wins. Even during Drew's prime, running game rules. You got this, Jameis. Eugene, look, I don't know if you checked out my guy Matt Moscona over there after further review. Y'all just think alike because he said the same exact thing, man. He broke it down to perfection, man. Shouts out to Matt Moscona. That's my guy right there, man. Matt freaking Moscona. After further review, man, y'all check him out. He said the same thing, man. I was actually listening to him last night, and he broke it down, talking about, how the Saints, when they made that Super Bowl run, they were like top 5 in rushing, and less of Drew is more. And that's been proven true. The less Drew was used, the more successful the Saints were, right? When you had to use Drew 40 and 50 times, for passes, the Saints weren't very successful. So that's why I say you have to have a balanced attack, and you have a young quarterback. The best friend of a quarterback is a good defense and a good running game. Keenan Latin says, I guess we're both dreaming real big. Well, look, you have high expectations, Mario. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Josh says, YouTube stop deleting my comments. What did you say for it to be deleted? What was your comment? Brian Davis said, just let him keep talking out his what. Your opinion is your opinion, but I've seen quite a few new Tampa Bay players this year, but okay, sir. I don't know exactly what the conversation about. I know Sanchez don't agree that about Jameis or it's something else. I don't know. I'm sorry. I missed that conversation. Bro, we'll be just fine without Drew Brees, man. Just fine. To always be in our Drew Brees, just fine. Drew Brees always be in our hearts in a Who Dat Nation. Okay, Ramsey. So I'm pretty sure you're saying the Saints will be just fine. Without Drew Brees, they should be just fine. I agree with that, Ramsey. Shouts out to Ramsey. Yannick says, giving an act to Dr. Det Steve Williams says, but we haven't seen him do the one thing Drew was exceptional at, elite decision making. Look, that's where you're going to go wrong, and that's where a lot of y'all going to, be frustrated because you need to stop comparing this dude to Drew Brees. Drew Brees is an all-time great quarterback. He's an all-time great quarterback for a reason. Drew Brees is an all-time great, because of his decision-making, because of his accuracy. Everybody can't beat Drew Brees. And that's the thing. I can't remember who just said this, at the top of the show, but it's true. We spoiled in a Who Dat Nation. We spoiled. We had so much good quarterback play that some of us can't even understand that or appreciate the fact that how great Drew Brees is. And he set the standard so high that anything else below that, we just think is unacceptable. But everybody can't be Drew Brees. So stop comparing this guy to Drew Brees. Any quarterback that you bring in, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Deshaun Watson. I don't care if it's Sam Darnold. I don't care if it's Mitchell Trubisky. I don't care if you mess around, make some moves. And and Patrick Mahomes was here. Regardless, there's going to be something that Patrick Mahomes couldn't do. There's going to be something that Patrick Mahomes can't do that Drew Brees could. And we're going to be comparing them to that. So unless we're about to get a guy like that, which we're not, you're always going to find something wrong. So unless you're about to go out here and move heaven and earth to try to get somebody like that, you're going to continue to have that. And even when they get here, you're still going to find something that person can't do that Drew did. So to me, We need to stop comparing guys to one another. We need to stop comparing Drew Brees and Jameis Winston. Well, Drew did this. Of course, that's what made Drew great. Drew was great for a reason, you know. So why are we comparing Jameis to Drew? Keen Arthur, thank you very much for the $5. Says TJ, do you expect Mike T to have a bounce back season, catch more downfield passes, or do you expect Zach and Deontay Harris to have a bigger role? I feel like Michael Thomas is going to have a bounce back season. I think that he is going to show more in his arsenal. I do think that Deontay Harris is going to have a bigger role as a downfield threat. I think Traquan Smith is going to really show what he can do. I just think that, you got guys all across the board that are talented enough, to answer the call. So I think that you're going to see a lot of guys doing some great things. I think if Jameis Winston can do the right things and make the right decisions, I think we can, have a resurgence of when we had guys like the Meachams and the Devery Hendersons and the Lance Moore type guys, those guys that did all these different things. Josh and Jesus, $2 says, TJ, read my last comment. Thank you for the $2. I'm actually looking for it, man. I'm actually strolling up and down. I don't know if that's the comment you're talking about when. Okay, I think this is it. Says TJ, people have been talking about how awful Mitchell is for like 2 years, so I don't know what you're talking about. I'm in the Midwest, and he is a running joke here. But here's the thing. When you start talking about Mitchell Trubisky, you start talking about Matt Nagy. You know what I'm saying? You start talking about Matt Nagy because what was the narrative, Josh? The narrative was, will Matt Nagy keep his job? And if a coach knows what he's doing, that's not going to be on the agenda. So you had Matt Nagy, as Mitchell Trubisky's scapegoat. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, Mitchell Trubisky, when they start talking about him, it's like they're not looking at him and saying, oh, man, he's god awful. What they're saying is, oh, if they run more play action, then he'll be a better quarterback. That's what I've heard. You know what I'm saying? And also, look, I've said on shows, shouts out to the Broad Street podcast. They actually had a guy that covered the Chicago Bears for ESPN. And he talked about it, man. He talked about them running more of the play action game. And I'm like, wait a minute now. The narrative for some of these quarterbacks is very, very simple. If that quarterback can't do one particular thing, oh, man, he's not good enough. But all of a sudden, Mitch Trubisky, all of a sudden, if they run more play action or if they run more plays under center, I'm like, nah, bro. Keep that same energy with all the quarterbacks. Mitchell Trubisky is not very good, and I feel like don't be like, well, we move him here, move him there. No, because you're not giving those other quarterbacks that same type of respect. You're not saying the same thing for them. You're not looking at their circumstance. So I feel like that's unfair. And, and here's the thing. We have to be careful, okay? Because this is what we do. When we see something that's like painstakingly obvious, right? We see something that's really obvious. There's always going to be one thing that's an exception to the rule where we feel like we can counteract it, right? You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, I don't know, man, like if you have a whole bunch of brown leaves and one green leaf in the middle of it, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's always going to be an exception to the rule. And, I just feel like we have to be careful with that because sometimes we can use those exceptions to the rule and then we can just discredit the whole situation. I do feel that, in my honest and humble opinion, there is a bias against black quarterbacks. They are all on a short leash. There is a bias and a short leash for black coaches. I'm sorry. People may roll their eyes. They might get mad. They might get upset. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? There's always going to be an exception to the rules. There's always going to be a story for us to tell that be able to counteract what I'm saying right now. There always will. There will always be a story. Well, what about this? Look, I can go down the line here. David Garrard, Byron Leftwich, Cam Newton, you know what I'm saying, towards the end of his career, Teddy Bridgewater, Jameis Winston, Doug Williams back in the day. The list goes on and on. You know what I'm saying? So, and the thing about it is why you can bring up more of these other quarterbacks is because what's the one thing that the NFL has never been short of? White quarterbacks. So, of course, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you have a shortage of African-American quarterbacks in the league and you got a guy over here that's a bona fide certified scrub, of course they're going to talk about him. But what happens, like, when you start to, like, bring more people of color into the league? These guys have a short leash. And I'm sorry. But if these guys ain't coming out of college running a 4.3, if they ain't out here with Lamar Jackson speed, and they just basically just a classic pocket passer, like some of these quarterbacks, most of them are that's white. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, they start breaking these guys down and discrediting these guys. And they put these guys on short leashes. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Just don't even take my word for it. Go back and look at the facts. Go look at the story of some of these other quarterbacks and how these guys were pulled. You know, like it is what it is, man. If these guys go out here and they play at a high level, then they're going to continue to play. But these guys have like, you know what I'm saying, like 2, mediocre years. Then they, these organizations somewhere trying to, draft a quarterback in the first round. I don't make these rules, man. I'm just telling you what it is. I'm just telling you what it is, man. There's very little patience for quarterbacks of color. Very little patience. And that's something that, in my opinion, needs to be addressed. These guys aren't getting the benefit of the doubt. And I heard somebody bring up Carson Wentz, Yeah, Carson Wentz, you know what I'm saying? Carson Wentz just didn't get along. You know what I'm saying? Carson Wentz just didn't get along with Philadelphia. And we all know the type of environment that Philadelphia is, right? Philadelphia, I don't care how good you are. I mean, they ran Andy Reid out of town. Andy Reid gave these guys 5 straight NFC championship games. Donovan McNabb, they ran him up out of town. So it's like, this is, like I said, for every situation, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule. There's always going to be situations, like if we, if we're talking about like certain issues, like people are always going to try to relate those issues to what they're going through. Well, I'm having a tough time too. What makes them different from me? Like, come on, man. Like, there's an issue that's going on here, and I hate to say it and love everybody here, but I can care less for people that don't want to see that. If you don't want to see that, man, I don't know what to say. All I'm saying is, like, don't even take my word for it. Go and take a look. Like, look at some of these bios. Go do some research and see and look at some of these guys and how they get the short end of the stick. Like, man, I'm not for trying to divide anybody, but I gotta call it for what it is and what I see. And what I see is a huge discrepancy going on here. And I hope that we address in the future. Isaac says, are they going to let fans in full force this year? Well, according to Roger Goodell, they say that they are. So, oh yeah, and right now, I didn't say this before, but look, if you're liking the State of the Saints podcast, if you're enjoying the show, please go ahead and hit that like button. Hit that like button. Show everybody that you enjoy the show. Show everybody that you appreciate the show. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Let's get the likes up. Let's get the subscribers up. Thank you all so much. And of course, the State of the Saints podcast is brought to you by Manscaped. Manscaped is the official sponsor of the State of the Saints podcast. Flowers are blooming, the grass is growing, and it's time to mow your lawn. Thanks to the sponsor of the State of the Saints podcast, Manscaped, you can trim the hedges below the belt safely and effectively. I'm talking about the brand new trimmer from Manscaped, the Lawnmower 3.0. It is the global leader in men's below-the-waist grooming. They have an exclusive offer for all of the audience members that are viewing this show right now. If you use the promo code State of Saints, That's all one word. That's State of Saints. You will save 20% off. Over 2 million men worldwide trust Manscaped for all their below the waist needs. They are here to make sure that your grooming needs are met. And after all, it's time for some spring cleaning. So go to manscaped.com, use the promo code State of Saints. You'll save 20% off. And thank Manscaped once again for being an official sponsor of the State of the Saints podcast. We're going to read a few more, and then we're going to go ahead and head up out of here, man. Let's go with that boy. It says it's because of the old generation, but the new generation will put that to rest. Well, I hope so. Like, look, the world is changing. I understand that they have like certain situations, but I try to see the good in individuals. I think that if we just sit back and just look, there's a lot of good in this world too. I just think that the media feeds us this negativity because they want us to keep coming back. And, any researcher will tell you that people are more attracted to bad news than they are good news. So the news outlets, they understand this, and they put all these different they put this negative energy out there in order to divide us, make us feel like, that we are each other's enemy. To me, I just feel like they put that out there for us to not realize and understand who the real enemy is, and I just think that there are a lot of good people in this world. There's a lot of good things going on in this world. And I do think the narrative is going to end up changing. And I think that people are going to have an appreciation, for, people, no matter where they come from, no matter what walks of life they come from. I just think that when you have a person that's depressed, that's down, that's frustrated with how life is, what type of, what circumstance life is giving them, and you turn on the news and that negativity comes into your mind, and it allows you to become angry, and then you have this so-called invisible enemy. I'm not in the business of prejudging anybody. I'm not. All of my judgments are based on how a person treats me and what I see. I just feel like just looking at some of these situations that are going on, I just feel like there's this agenda to me to try to divide us. It's hard. It's hard for individuals to get along if they're not talking to each other. If you're having a disagreement with your significant other, it's hard to fix that agreement if you don't talk to each other. If y'all walking around the house and rolling your eyes, or one person walk in a room, you walk out, like, how are you going to fix the problem? There's a lot of outside forces that's causing us to leave each other's room so we won't have these conversations. I refuse to buy into that. I feel like the world can change, but it starts with us to change the world. Ryan Fitzpatrick keeps getting jobs. That's because Ryan Fitzpatrick is a decent quarterback, and he's a likable guy. Ryan Fitzpatrick is not like he just borderline trash. He's not, he's not a 17, 16 game quarterback, but he can win some games for you. He a baller. In the NFL, everybody is on a short leash. Not necessarily. I totally disagree with that. How many opportunities do we see these other quarterbacks get? Is Chase Daniel on a short leash? No. Josh McCown, was he on a short leash? No. Like, was Albert Hainsworth on a short leash? Was Javon Curse on a short leash? Was Jadeveon Clowney on a short leash? Was Brian Cushings on a short leash? Like, come on, man. Like, Sean Merriman, was he on a short leash? So, I didn't give you like just a whole bunch of white players. I gave you a mixture of individuals. These guys were given opportunity after opportunity based on injury, based on production, whatever. They still were given opportunities. Teams will give you opportunities. Like, they will continue to give a guy opportunities to continue to bring guys back. There's even a guy in the Saints system who all of us roll our eyes with every time he signs a 1-year contract, in PJ Williams. So, everybody is not on a short leash. Teams, if they like you, you know what I'm saying, they're going to continue to bring you back. You know, if they, you know, they're going to continue to invest in you. And if they really like you, they're going to, you know, start putting different coaches around you in order for you to succeed. Owners would do that. If you're not on a short leash, then you are not the exception. I mean, there's a lot of guys that's not the exception. That's because I'm better than you, fool. Keep talking smack about Gangsta Patrick. Look, I like Ryan Fitzpatrick. I ain't got no problem with him. If Josh Allen was black, he would have been given the boot from Buffalo before this year. I don't know if he was be given a boot, but there have been talks and whispers, you know, about it. There have been talk and whispers about it. Leanne says black quarterback and coaches are on short leashes, produce immediately or you're out. Yep. That's pretty much it, you know, because people just have this idea about, you know, what the athlete should be, the black athlete, the black quarterback should be, you know. Charles, real talk, we need to stop SOTP podcast. TJ Zion Williamson right now is the most talked about player right now. Football season is over, so I'm focusing on my Pelicans. They're young and hungry right now. Well, look, I feel like this. I can't see myself talking Pelicans day in, day out. I can't. I'm not even gonna lie to you because number one, I'm not that big of a basketball fan. Do I want the Pelicans to be successful? Absolutely. But honestly, I'm gonna just be real. If I was to start a Pelicans podcast, now if I were just talking about the Pelicans, like let's just say, okay, I'm doing the State of the Game podcast because this show is on the State of the Game as well. If I bring somebody on there to talk about the Pelicans, cool. But I can't see myself just constantly talking about the Pelicans. If I did that, I would tell you that would just be a money grab. And I'm passion driven. Like I don't do anything that I can't do anything without passion. I'm not going to continue to do it. Like I'll do it for a little while, then I'm like, nah, I don't want to do it. I don't care that much about basketball for me to constantly have a show about basketball. Because to be honest with you, I don't really respect basketball like I once did. Like because basketball is nothing to me but a bunch of guys playing at the park and want to play alongside their friends. And their friends are AAU guys, and they're going up against guys that just go into the park just to have fun. And they get out about 3-4 cars, and they stand up, and one of the guys say, I got next. And then once, you know what I'm saying, the team that, you know, wins and the other team wins, he's like, I got all my friends, right? Forget about all the guys on the court. I got all my friends. And then they go out there and they run the table, and they setting screens, and they set picks, and they saying 1-2-1 and all that other crap, setting up plays. You know, that's the way I look at basketball. Basketball is not fun to me anymore. It's not exciting. Guys rarely ever play any type of defense. You know, guys are singing, holding hands, saying we are the world. They soft as cottonelle tissue. And it's not really that exciting until it's time for the playoffs because that's when guys really start playing their best. And then you already know who's going to be in the number in the end. It's not like football, right? Like you look at the divisional round. Did anybody have the Cleveland Browns going to the divisional round of playoffs? Did anybody think that the Cleveland Browns were maybe like a drive away from possibly beating the Kansas City Chiefs? Like, did anybody believe that? No. Like, honestly, do you expect the Orlando Magic to win the NBA Finals? No. Do you expect, I don't know, the Phoenix Suns to win the finals? No. You know it's going to be the same teams. The Lakers, the Clippers, the Brooklyn Nets. Like, that stuff is boring, man. Like, there's no excitement about that. So, like I said, I'm not interested in basketball like that. I want the Pelicans to be successful because they're the hometown team. But I just don't have the same type of respect for basketball as I do football. Because football is more exciting because you really don't know who's going to win. In basketball, you pretty much, like, in a 7-game series, you know who most likely going to be at the end. You know? If it was like the NCAA tournament, then any team can get caught up. But in 7 games, you know who's going to be there in the end. You know it's going to be the Bucks versus the Nets. You know it's going to be the Clippers versus the Lakers or some of the other teams that's coming up there. It's like boring. You know, I can't see myself doing a show like this every single day. I don't care. I don't care enough. TJ, the game of the week is Sniper Elite 4, Zombie Army 4, and Rainbow 6. All right, Ramsey, thank you so much for the game of the week. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. And like I said, no disrespect to all my basketball fans. That's just me. I'm just not a fan. Not a fan. Kyle wouldn't be a bad pick in the third round. Kyle Trask. I'm more of a Sam Ehlinger guy. You know, I like Sam Ehlinger. I like his leadership. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints end up getting somebody like Sam Ehlinger in the third round, or the quarterback out of Texas A&M. Ryan Fitzpatrick did dominate the Saints. Hey, Ryan anybody got a problem with Ryan Fitzpatrick? All I got to do is tell you this. Ryan Fitzpatrick is the reason why the State of the Saints podcast exists. Because in week 1, back in 2018, when the Saints played the Buccaneers, Ryan Fitzpatrick lit the Saints up. And I was so frustrated about the game that I ended up recording what is now known as the State of the Saints podcast. So I ain't got no problem with Ryan Fitzpatrick, okay? You all should thank Ryan. If you love the State of the Saints podcast, you should say thank you, Ryan Fitzpatrick, because now we have a podcast that's our own. And honestly, it's because of my frustration with Ryan Fitzpatrick. So I like to thank Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick helped me to live up to my full potential. Okay, so thank you, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I really do appreciate that. I really do appreciate it. Teams don't play defense in NFL either. They play more defense than in the NBA, sir. I'll tell you that. Yeah, I tell you that. Who that, TJ? I believe that if the Saints can design an offense to use Jameis Winston's strength, we can be successful next season. Just give the brother a chance. Well, I know they're going to do that. Because Sean Payton don't ask quarterbacks to do anything that they're not comfortable with. Yeah, he caught them in the opener before the D-Jail that year. He catches everybody at some point. Well, look, like I said, I like to thank Ryan Fitzpatrick for helping me start what is now known as the State of the Saints podcast. Ring chasers is the new norm. Yeah, man, you don't get no respect for that, man. Like, for me, like you don't get no respect. Like, just getting a whole bunch of all-stars together and winning championships. And then, you know, the media wants you to accept this crap. Like, nah, bro. Like, get out of here, man. Like, get out of my face. Like, in the NBA, you know, guys, you know, used to go to team through the free agency, but they weren't trying to build no super teams. You know, it wasn't like, you know, you look at somebody like James Harden that's a scorer, Kyrie Irving that's a scorer, Kevin Durant that's a scorer, right? It's not like how when the Chicago Bulls were when they you know, allow Horace Grant to go to the Magic and they get Dennis Rodman. They got Dennis Rodman because he was a good rebounder. You didn't get Dennis Rodman because he was about to drop 50 on somebody. If Dennis Rodman had 12 in the game we shot, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was because the guys can actually do certain things. Now it's like you got just a whole bunch of scores on the team, leaking scores, and all that other, like, man, miss me with that, man. That ain't cool. That ain't exciting to me. Like I say, man, it's like, why would I watch something when I know what the outcome gonna be? Why am I wasting my time? Why am I wasting my time? Like, if I know eventually what's gonna be, who is gonna be there in the end. And I'm just gonna tell you, I hate to be the bearer of bad news to everybody here in New Orleans as Pelican fans, but once Zion Williamson contract is up, most likely he probably gonna do the same thing LeBron them did. I mean, I haven't seen anybody do anything different. I'm sorry, like everybody is not gonna be like Giannis Antetokounmpo. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody ain't gonna be like, okay, you know. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that, you know, he's from another country. You know, like, so, you know, being in Milwaukee, it means a lot. It's kind of like with Dirk. You know what I'm saying? He was an international player. But some of these guys that's just born in the States and stuff like that, you start getting with Clutch Sports and all them other guys. Oh, you want movie deals. Oh, you want contracts. Oh, you want to set yourself as an executive producer. Let's go to Los Angeles. Like, man, bump all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no loyalty in the NBA at all. None. Right? You know what I'm saying? It's just, guys, okay, I'm going to buy my time. I'll play for this sorry team until, or this small market until I can get to Miami or get to Boston or get to New York or get to Los Angeles. It's the same thing. I mean, I ain't trying to depress nobody, but the Pelicans better put a team around that dude quick, because it's only a matter of time before, guys like LeBron, and Clutch Sports and all them other guys, be in his ear, and be like, okay, man, you're a star. Next thing you know, same thing with Anthony Davis, right? So they better put a team around him quick, because if they don't, then they're going to sell some tickets, but he's going to be on the first thing smoking out of town. It's a guarantee that Jameis will throw at least 40 interceptions. Okay, that's interesting. I disagree. Go Bucks. It started with Celtics Big Three trying to stop GOAT James. Who that? Dania. Trent says every league is ring chasing, not just the NBA. Yeah, but the NBA makes it very obvious. Why are we debating this? Like, this ain't even a debate. Like, this ain't even a debate. Like, this ain't really nothing to debate. Like, if you look at it that way, of course, that's the objective. If you play Major League Baseball, the objective is to win the World Series. If you're in the NHL, the objective is to win the Stanley Cup. NBA, the NBA Finals. You know what I'm saying? Like the NFL, the Lombardi Trophy. Like, of course. You know what I'm saying? Of course, that's the objective, but man, the way that you're doing it, it ain't cool. It ain't cool, man. I want to see Taysom Hill, strong safety, just one play. Let's not tell the man what to do with his podcast episode. Well, look, man, I'm open to suggestions, but I just want to tell you why. I'm not going to lie to nobody. Like, if I was just to be doing a Pelican podcast, that'd just be a money grab. I mean, I'm just not interested. It would, like, I'm telling you, if I was constantly talking Pelicans year in, year out, game in, game out, it would be boring. It would be boring. Unless, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's just say, for example, y'all know I'm in broadcasting, right? So let's just say, you know what I'm saying, I apply to Raycon. Raycon is the umbrella where, like, if you ever see Saints preseason games and stuff like that, that's kind of the umbrella they're under. And some, Pelicans broadcast. So if I was to, like, get a job there and my job was to talk about the Pelicans, of course, I would do that to the best of my ability, because that would be my job. But as a quiet taste, hell no. Hell no. Bishop Baldwin.
Hell no. To the no, no, no. Hell to the no.
Nah, I can't do it. I can't do it, man. I can't shortchange you all by doing it. I won't. And I don't feel bad about this, because this is mostly a Saints Q&A edition of Stay of Saints podcast, because anytime I have an interview, I always like to come back and have a Saints Q&A, because, when I interview people, I can't interact with you all when I'm interviewing them. So just wanted to make that, so that's why, it's just basically rapid fire. Steph Curry better than LeBron. I disagree with that. Better shooter? Yes. Better player? No, he's not. I think Jameis will win Saints more than 10 games. I hope. I can see the Lakers versus the Nets in the final. I got the Lakers winning. I'm a big LeBron James fan. Nothing wrong with that. Super team started with Boston and Lakers back in the day, bro. How many combined they got? Let's see. Super team started with Boston and the Lakers back in the day. How many the Lakers? Total combined? I want to say with Shaq and Kobe, what they got? Kobe got 5, Shaq got 4. All right, so let's just say 5. All right, I say 6 combined. All right, that'd be what, 6? Yeah, that'd be 6 combined, because I think KG and Paul Pierce and Ray Allen, I think they won 1. So yeah, so 6. Yeah, 6 combined, 6 championships. That's a lot. Curry ain't better than Allen Iverson. Stop it. Yeah, I mean, look, that's two completely different players, man. They two completely different players. That's two completely different styles. Yeah, I think they'll put Taysom at safety, and somebody like Kyle Pitts will embarrass him. Basically, Taysom might be a dog at strong safety, and man, they moving the strong safety. TJ and the Cannon, yeah. Bobby Bell be on the show Monday, man. Sup, TJ? What you think about showing at Bama yesterday? Think he was looking at a linebacker. I don't think it had nothing to do with Mac Jones. Lakers will not repeat. Stop dreaming. They might. Boston got at least 18. I know he was talking. I don't think he was talking about total. I don't know if he was talking about total or he was just talking about with the super teams. Okay, yeah, but if you're right, yeah, Boston do have about 18. And I think the Lakers, I don't know if the Lakers are tied with them or have one more than them. I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not really big on basketball like that. Question then is, how would you feel if Winston or Taysom struggle and the Saints pass on a quarterback that balls out? I feel bad, just like I would with Lamar Jackson and Marcus Davenport. But hey, that happens. You're not going to hit them out the park all the time, right? At this point, I still feel the same way. Let's get the playoffs and make a run. I don't give a damn how many games, long as it's enough to make the playoffs, and we go from there. Yep, that's the way I feel about it. Then we're gonna go ahead and let's end it. Let me end it with somebody I haven't seen. Well, John, he already said something. He said the Lakers franchise and Boston franchise have a combined 34 championships together. They were super teams. Okay, John. Yeah, okay, if you put it in that perspective, I was thinking about when you're talking about from the super teams, you were referring to like the 2000, 2000 odds, right? The 2000 odds were, Shaq, Kobe, Rick Fox, Robert Ory. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought that's what you were talking about. But yes, okay, if you're looking at it from that perspective, 34 championships. Now, if you want to talk about Kareem and Magic and Byron Scott and them back in the day when they were the Showtime Lakers, or you want to talk about Kevin McHale, Danny Ainge, Robert Parrish, Larry Bird, okay, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, okay, but I was thinking you was talking mostly about the 2000s when you had, Paul Pierce, KG, Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo, right? I think you were talking about them, okay? But yeah, combined together, yeah, they have a lot of championships. I can't believe Loomis skipped Ohio State Pro Day. Sean Payton usually loves those Ohio State guys. Yeah, well, maybe they know they're going to draft him, so ain't no need to show up. But thank you all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you all so much. Go ahead and hit that like button before we get up out of here. Show everybody that you enjoyed the show. Also, subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the show. And once again, look, this is the New Orleans Saints podcast, the State of the Saints podcast. And on Monday, we're going to have Bobby Hebert on the show, the Cajun Cannon, former Saints quarterback, and late 80s, early 90s. I know some of you know who Bobby Hebert is, and if you don't, you might want to pull up a chair because it's always exciting anytime the Cajun Cannon speaks. He's very honest, and I'm looking forward to just sitting back and just listening to him, man. And man, I really do appreciate you all's time. Like I said, if you enjoyed the show, subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. You can follow the State of the Saints podcast on social media, on Twitter, at State of Saints. That's at State of Saints. You can follow me on Instagram at TJ Jones _ TJAY Jones _ Previous episodes available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. Thank you all so much for your time. Hope everybody has a good morning, noon, night, whenever you're checking out this podcast. And like always, all I got to say is